morning, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Anasa. Let's start with meditation. So take your attention down below your belly button. All of your energy, take it out of your head and down below your belly button. Use your breath to pull your attention down. And then pull your attention down into the earth. Feel your connection to Mother Earth. She who sustains us in the material world. And feel for the gratitude that we have for the homes we live in, the food we eat, the air we breathe. When you're ready, gently allow your attention to rise up to your solar plexus. And always it's okay to stay in a place that you feel hasn't released yet for you. As you draw your attention to the solar plexus, just breathe. If there's anything you need to know, you will be informed. Gently move your attention to your heart. Allow the energy to rise up to your heart. Feel for the love inside yourself. And if that doesn't immediately leap up, ask to feel the love. Understanding that you're asking your deepest self to respond. It is there within you. Just waiting for your attention and allowing. Next, take your attention to the throat. When you're ready, gently allow your attention to rise to your third eye. Feel the energy coming out the top of your head in 360 degrees. Coming up your central channel. And this is a continuous flow. As with all the channels in the body, it travels in both directions, whichever's most healthy for the person. But there's a preferential direction for every channel. Allow your awareness to just release itself and feel. And now allowing that experience to continue, gently open your eyes. And you can do it slowly. We advise you at some point, if your schedule, when your schedule allows, to practice this meditation. The tape will be available not too long from now on YouTube. Practice this meditation at your own pace so that you can wait however long it takes for an energy center to become palpable to you. And that way, practice at your own pace. So that you can really begin to experience yourself in a different way. How may we serve this morning? So happy to be here with you. Mm.
Good morning, Rebecca.
Good morning.
First, I'd like to say thank you for this is a beautiful morning meditation. Thank you very much. And almost hate to break this magic moment, but um, last week I had a question that came up in my mind about do the angels function as a medium between the ego and the subconscious? And I guess that's getting at is that in the words of Jung, exploring our dark side and bringing that into balance with what we call our light side, bringing those two parts together, and what they would say about that.
The first thing we would say about that is that it's important to understand that the angels are inside you. There is nothing outside of us. And so everything that works to our benefit, which is the angelic, and everything that works to emphasize our shadow, we'll say it that way, because demons only exist when angels exist, and angels only exist when demons exist. And the reality is life is happening, and it's our perception that interprets it as angelic or demonic. And part of spiritual work is understanding that angelic and demonic are energy, and that our place of peace is in the center of us. And that these things can be held in our oneness. And so the sort of losing language here. Because that state is truly beyond language. Any attempt to put it into language automatically limits it. And this is the nature of the difference between the perception of 3D reality and fifth dimensional reality. And we just use those numbers because numbers are linear and the mind can sort of get the difference between expansion and contraction in that way. The linear mind can. But understand it's beyond language. So all we can do is point and allow space. And the more we can allow space within ourselves, and what we mean by space is developing the capacity to stop the torture within ourselves.
So to use that limited language, and a limited language that I've been practicing with is so in that space of Rigpa or uh, silence or
Equanimity.
equanimity, that dissolution that arises, for lack of a better word, all those thoughts are resolved there. And so the angels and the demons, or that characterization, that's dissolving too. But it's not a non-existence, correct?
Well, it's
It
not dissolution, because if it were truly dissolution,
it wouldn't come back.
exactly.
I think I'm on for me, the right path there to find.
Absolutely you are, because we haven't read Jung,
Mhm.
but we would say that the observations are very much in line, that we have been exposed to are very much in line with our we don't want to use the word thinking because it's not appropriate. Our perception of humanity. The perception that inner torture is a product of our matrix of belief. And that meditation is an attempt to begin to alter that matrix of belief by having new experience of our own inner potential for peace. And from that peace, compassion arises. For everything that we perceive as other. And as that arises, we begin to see that that compassion is most efficiently applied to ourselves first. Or that when we live from compassion, we actually end up being compassionate with ourselves. Because whatever we feel toward the other, we are feeling inside ourselves. Does that help?
Absolutely. As someone once explained it to me, in the airplane, you put your oxygen mask on first.
Yes.
Mhm. Yeah. Lots of fuel there. Thank you.
Yes. But I think it's very important to understand that our angels are within us.
Hmm.
They're not out there receiving our requests and prayers.
Hmm. Self-arising.
Yes.
Hmm.
But anything that is self-arising already exists, is just waiting to be experienced, because self-arising also has in it the concept of other.
Right. Right.
If you're because of
That's
our
that's the conundrum. That's
yeah, it's
right.
because our matrix of belief can only think in terms of self and other.
It's not so much suffering, but it's a conundrum to, I don't want to say wrestle with, but once again, language is real tough here, but
But it is a
to
mental
work with.
construct that it's important
Mhm.
to address, that
Mhm.
everything is inside us. The idea that there is something out there hearing our prayers out there and going to save us, that there is anything out there that is going to save us. Not true. It's our inner awareness that saves us. There is a lot of energetic input from the outside that we can use either to help us to change our inner experience or allow to shut us down to our inner experience and magnetize all our energy outside of us so that we try to do something about it. But this is why we say that the most important work we can do, the one thing that will influence the whole the most, is to resolve our own inner torture. Because in stopping the torture within us, we stop torturing others. We see the world the way we are. So as our perception changes to allow the experience of complete connection to that which is the source of our life, we allow ourselves to release ourselves, our perception, into that experience. And in doing that, we come to stillness. And in that stillness, there is neither dissolution nor absolution. There is reorganization of the patterns from which we function. And when we cease our judgment and allow ourselves to just be, peace can arise. We're going to Christianity again. The peace that passeth all understanding. The benediction. This is Rebecca resolving her issues with Christianity. Her father was a Lutheran minister. This is what we wish for every human being. The peace that passeth all understanding. How may we serve further? Yes.
I've been trying to phrase my question, and I'm not sure I can do it well at this point, but I'm going to give it a whirl. Okay, so I'm looking at how my matrix of belief is connected to what I see manifesting in the world. We're talking about war and oppression of women and climate change and Donald Trump and that sort of thing, which I have feelings about, and they're not positive. I'm not sure how to.
We lost your vocals. At I'm not sure how. Can you type it into the chat? Oh, you got muted. You're still muted.
How's that?
How's
There
this?
you are. Yes, yes.
Okay, he
You're
did
not
his.
sure how to what?
Yeah, right. I do understand that I can only do my own work, that I can't actually project and try to change outside of myself. But I don't know how the outside, what I would call problems in the world, is connected to my work. There's
So
a yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. We don't want to interrupt.
No, I think you should interrupt.
Okay. Okay. So here's how. So these things disturb our mind and our emotions. So when we feel like the world is all wrong, that's a time to take yourself to the Inasa temple.
Mhm.
And you sit with whatever it is that's bothering you, understanding that everything that bothers us is something that is some agitation arising from some discontent in ourselves with how we have been treated, which causes us to treat ourselves in the way we've been treated. It's kind of complicated, but the thing is to make a statement that is really reflective of your inner authentic view that you would like to make to the person or the situation to make it better.
Mhm.
And you take that, no more than 3 sentences to the Inasa temple, and you deliver it to the highest best for the whole. And that is the biggest contribution you can make. Because we know the networks of interactions that create that which we perceive to be true in this world is driven by forces that we can't perceive. So our highest way of participation always is to work from the highest best for the whole within ourselves. And that is the greatest influence that we can have in the multiverse, is becoming in union with that highest best allows us to be in union with that highest best. And so everything that we do, both inner and outer, is to serve that union. And in that way, we are serving ourselves and the whole as much as we can with our lives. And in that way, we are becoming our highest best. There is no better use of a human life. And at this point, we can say, you can consider the Inasa Temple to be a space within yourself.
I do.
Yes.
Mm.
But we frame it as a journey that we take because in the matrix of belief that everything is out there, it makes it possible for us to begin to work before we can conceive of everything is inside.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. That's very, can you hear me?
Yes.
That's very helpful, that part. I don't have to get it all at once. I get caught in judgment and worry and condemnation and all that kind of stuff about what I see as wrong actions. And I do understand. I mean, I do a lot of blessing of like the people of Ukraine, the women of Afghanistan, that sort of thing. I do hold them in my heart. I haven't been able to do that with Donald Trump, but he's just an outlier of humanity, I think. And it's hard for me to include him. But I've even...
Donald Trump's highest self.
Yeah, well, I can't even fathom my highest self there. I mean, I'm really... I mean, I know theoretically there is, but I can even do it better with Putin, you know? I mean, really.
At least Putin is who he is.
Yeah, well, well, anyway, never mind. It's
But this is
weird
really
people.
important. This is
Oh,
really-
good. I'm glad. I was wondering if it was.
No, you're speaking for all of us, really, because we all have these feelings about this situation, as does any, truly sentient being. Uh, um, and if we don't have these feelings, we have the opposite, because our matrix of belief is that. So, and all parts are welcome. When you understand that all parts are welcome,
Mm,
every single one of us contains the potential to be Donald Trump. Every single one of us.
appalling but true.
Yes, every single one of us has the capacity for murder.
Yeah. That I can grok that.
Easier than Donald Trump, we see.
Easier than
Yes.
Donald Trump, really.
Donald Trump is a very complex person. He has no idea who he is. None.
Right. I know.
So he's just a mass of feeling and action. I feel it. Therefore, it's true. This is like, yeah.
Well, he's like the antithesis of a human being. And so that's why I have such a hard time including him in my wish for the highest and best
But
in
if
all.
we can heal him inside ourselves, he will disappear.
Oh, I sort of have a sense of that. I've told myself the first thing you can do is limit your exposure,
Yes.
because making a big deal of him in any way in the media, for example, is making it more real.
Feeds it.
Feeds
Yes.
it, right.
It feeds it, and it feeds into that false equivalency that he has made very popular. That truth and fiction are equal.
Right. Oh, yikes.
But there is a whole segment of population who believes that. And so
I know.
exploring that and our reaction to it in ourselves, because the truth is that much of what we believe is fiction.
Yeah.
Much of what we believe is fiction, and we do not want to face that, because we don't know what's truth and what's fiction.
Right.
We don't know. We
We
have a
don't know.
matrix of belief that makes a lot of assumptions about what's truth and what's fiction. But when you come down to what absolute truth,
Right.
we get very shaky, human beings.
Well, I have this thing that happens, which is I'll have a train of thought about something or someone, and it'll run for a while and seem really logical. And then this other consciousness, like it's not another consciousness, but it's like a different point of view comes in and says, you can't know that.
Well,
You don't know that.
Yes, that's your connection, saying, wait, I don't understand truth and fiction in this situation.
Right.
And this is why people get swayed by the fiction, what we perceive as fiction, because there's something in them that goes, well, maybe that is the truth.
Yeah.
So you can see how somebody can, and the truth is, we don't know.
Right.
And the only way we can know is to go deeper and deeper in ourselves. And as we do that, it has less meaning for us that turbulence on the surface that we can't understand. We understand that it's turbulence on the surface, and that
Mhm.
what we're looking for is the connection to absolute truth,
Yeah.
which is beyond language. And when we truly
Yeah.
understand that, then what begins to enter the picture is what is often called surrender, which we call allowing,
Mhm.
which is that we release ourselves into knowing or not knowing the
Yeah.
truth. And we just allow whatever's out there to be undisturbed in our inner. Now,
In
we
our
know
what?
undisturbed in our inner being.
Mhm.
Okay.
Now, understand, Rebecca hasn't accomplished this. We don't know anybody who's accomplished this, really. We know, we have met people, Rebecca included, who go in and out of this.
Yeah.
And we know there are people, have been, and are people who actually live in this.
So I've heard. Yeah.
And it is faith and considering the alternatives that can keep us working on the potential for this within ourselves. Because when we consider the alternatives, none of them are appealing. Once we
Yeah,
know
no.
this,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So this is the best way we can tell you to stop the torture. And reacting to Donald Trump is a classic example of how we torture ourselves with what it appears to be.
Yeah.
Whether we know what the real story is, which the deeper our knowing gets, the more we see we don't know the real story.
Right.
But you
I can.
understand that each person is entitled to their matrix of belief.
Mhm.
It's not up to us, somebody else's matrix of belief, only our own.
This is an odd way of putting it, but I'm looking at how to correct the Donald Trump within.
Yes, that's exactly right. So you take the Donald Trump within to the Inasa temple, which means
Okie dokie.
you dialogue with yourself about what that is for you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And as you bring that to the highest, which is what the Inasa temple is,
Yeah.
you know, as we said to Rebecca once about this situation, that sometimes the way things appear, you know, somebody just has to come along and pull the tablecloth out from under the table. And so everything goes every which way. And then there's some potential for it to reform into something better. Of course, the potential is always there for it to reform into something worse. But you see, if we are doing this work in our inner selves, we are contributing to the potential for it to become something better in that moment of reorganization.
I feel like there's a way to go now.
Good.
Yeah.
This is an important conversation. Really, really important conversation.
Good. Because it could have been just, I don't know, stupid. Or just a misconception, or, I mean, it is a misconception, I suppose. But it's a common one for me.
Well, you're speaking for all of us. This is not just your issue.
Okay.
Yes. Mm. How may we serve further? Mm. We're so grateful to be here. Mm.
I just wanted to say thank you because without even having to ask my questions, once again, my questions were answered today.
Yeah.
So thank you all so much because
You're
I
so
too was
welcome.
sitting here struggling, trying to find a way to word it and struggling to figure out, is there a question in my question? Because these are the thoughts I've been having all week, which Drew approached too. So it was like, I feel so much better right now.
Oh,
And I just wanted to
good.
say thank you. I am filled with hope again and can go on for another week. So thank you all so much.
You are so welcome. Mm. Yes, Andrew.
I've been curious about mantra practice And it's, in one way invoking an energy, in another way, perhaps appeasing an energy. In other words, it's something that to reflect an inner state, but also sort of addressing disharmonies directly. And,
Yes. So Andrew's asking about using mantra and his experience that sometimes, if we're reframing this right, sometimes a mantra that really resonates can appease some energies within us or reinforce some energies within us. Is that your experience? And so we'll tell you that we've been working with mantras that are, there is a whole book of mantras that has been released by an astrologer named Andrew Foss. We're forgetting the title of the book at the moment, but it has 108 mantras for each planet according to the location of the planet in each person's astrological chart, Vedic astrological chart. And these mantras are ancient. They are ancient. And we've both been working with them and having these experiences that sometimes they appease energies within us that are difficult, and other times they promote energies within us that are exquisite. And so we are in the midst of exploration. We can't say any more than that. Except that that's the experience that we're having now. And so it would lead us to make the assumption that these mantras could be a powerful part of someone's spiritual practice. But we don't have enough, we have an N of 2 in our experiment. So we don't have enough information to say that everybody should do this at this point. But the indications are very good that there is value to this practice. But the caveat we'll say is that everything in Vedic astrology is dependent on us having the right birth time. And so if there was carelessness around noting the time of birth when we were born, 15 minutes makes a difference. And so that is probably the weakness in the value of these particular mantras. But that being said, it's a way to what they call rectify, bring us closer to what the right chart is. If a mantra really doesn't work, then it's probably something close to it, but the birth time is not absolutely correct. And even among astrologers, when you determine the time of birth is confusing. Is it when the baby takes the first breath? Is it when the baby first appears? Is it when you cut the cord? You can make a good argument for any of these times. And so it's a little bit confusing. So that's where we are with that in this stage of our own processes. So to the question itself about mantra appeasing or promoting, the theory behind Hindu mantra is that the language of Sanskrit is itself a spiritual practice, a spiritual language. So when we say syllables that are in harmony with our union with the highest, that encourages our communication with the highest within us. This is where mantra practice comes from. That sounds have power in our inner recognition of the highest. Does that answer your question?
Well, it's a work in progress.
Yes, it's a description of the work in progress. That's what we can say. So we're getting close to our time. Do we feel complete enough to meditate? Andrew? Okay. Let's go to meditation. Yes, we agree. So we'll allow each of you to guide yourselves in these few minutes as we meditate. Thank you so much. Such a gift to be in sacred space with you all. Till next time.